All right, we're back in the shop. Today we're working on my Yamaha R3 race bike, and the project for today is to do a 415 chain conversion. I'd like to thank Vortex for helping me out in this 2024 race season, and from that I purchased the full complement of sprockets that I'll need. I should be able to cover any of the tracks, any of the gearing I need for any of the tracks that I'm going to be racing. It includes about 2 front sprockets and multiple rear sprockets. And then the chain, of course, the chains itself and backups. So let's go ahead and dig into this project. All right, so what I'm going to start with is breaking the nut loose for the front sprocket while I have everything in here and I can still apply the rear brake. So on the R3, you don't have a fold over disc that captures the nut, so you have to drill and safety wire the nut. These bikes are known for the nut backing off and damaging the output shaft in the transmission. So we'll cut safety wire. Now with the correct socket and the breaker bar, we're going to hold the rear brake. And break it loose. All right, now we can move on to breaking the chain. We're going to find the master link. This is a rivet chain, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and grind the tip off of that so that it'll make it easier to push the links out. Grind the tip off of both of them so I can push the link out with the tool. So now I'm going to use a chain tool to push those links out. And if you've ever bought one of these, they don't come with instructions. If you don't buy the most real expensive ones. So I think a lot of these are all pretty general when you buy them. Pretty much the same, probably still made by the same company. But first I'm going to remove this cap because this is more of an anvil for installing chain. And then we need to get a pin to push the link out with. So you're going to unscrew this piece all the way. And you're going to select the biggest pin from these 4, the one that'll fit through there but not get stuck, but you don't want to run the smallest one. Take the spring, put the spring on, and put that down in there and screw this back in. Until that pin starts coming out. You want it to be about even. Now, you can screw a handle in the bottom here to help with leverage. And then you also have this lever, which will help you tighten this down. All right, so now we should be able to come on here. Tighten down the inside one first. You want it centered over that link. And then you tighten the one with the pin down. And you start tightening it down. And it should start pushing that pin out. And if you want, you can check, make sure you're centered. Yep, we're starting to move. These tools are kind of cheap. They are cheap. That's why we buy them. So the reason I grind off the pins here, like your high dollar ones, you don't have to grind the pins off. It'll push them out. But I grind it off so that the chain, you know, we don't break this tool right away, and we can reuse it. We can reuse it multiple times. Okay, I'm going to have to get a wrench to back that off now. All right, there's the outside link. O-rings. Now we can take the chain apart. Now we'll move on to removing the rear wheel. I like to use one of these. I know Pitbull makes their version of these, but I bought this thing off Amazon for like 15 bucks. And you just set it under here. Jack it up to the right height. And then it'll help me put the wheel back on. And now we'll have to change out the sprocket on the carrier here. All right, now we're going to remove the rear sprocket. I like to actually keep it in the wheel so I can get some leverage on it. I just put a board underneath it to protect it from rubbing on the table. And if the hardware looks different, if you have all the factory hardware on your bike, it will look different. This is a titanium hardware kit to save even more weight. All right, there's the sprocket. While you're in here, it's a good time to get all this cleaned up. It's pretty dirty from last season. So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna wipe down quite a bit. I'll get some cleaner degreaser out. And if it's real bad, what I like to use is an acid brush. I've cut the bristles down, and you can come in here and you can scrub everything and then rinse it off. Now is also a good time. Check your seals, check your spacers, and check your bearings, and make sure that you have this spacer in here. I've seen too many times where this spacer falls out. People put it back together, and it ends up wearing. This wheel actually doesn't have any damage, but multiples of my wheels do have damage around here where this hub rides down. Let's see, this hub does have damage where it rides down on there where it's not supposed to be. So you want to make sure that spacer's in there. Check your bearing, make sure it's smooth, doesn't make any noise, and it isn't loose. Make sure the seal's in good shape. Make sure there's some grease in there. We're all good here. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this spacer down a little bit. Okay. All right, now we'll install the new sprocket. So bring the nuts down hand tight, and then we're going to torque them, but you want to do it in a cross pattern. So we need to set it to 49 foot-pounds. And I always set my torque wrenches back to the lowest setting, not 0. It's 10 on this one. All right, next step, we're gonna get this chain cleaned up. It's brand new. It comes in this packaging with this white grease that is impossible to remove, it seems. So I'm gonna use kerosene. Now, you don't want to soak the chain. It says longer than 10 minutes or it can get into the O-rings. So we're just gonna run the chain through there. Soft bristle brush. You don't want to use a wire brush. So this is clean kerosene, which is used for, or some call it paraffin oil. It's used in heaters. So it's a cleaner version of kerosene. You're not supposed to use harsher chemicals like gasoline or solvents to clean the chains. It'll damage the O-rings. you try anything like, it says biograded degreaser to clean, or Dawn dish soap or something, but that doesn't work on this white grease. It doesn't even touch it. So the only thing I found is as it recommends, is the kerosene, and it takes it right off. And we're just going to give it a good clean, a quick clean. And then we're going to take it to the bike and we're going to get it cut down to the right amount of lengths that we need. And then it also says you want to, as soon as you clean it, within 10 minutes or so, you want to re-lube it. So we'll get this cleaned off, and then we'll use it with we'll apply the chain lube that I like to use. All right, I've got it clean, and I just went through and I wiped it down. I let it sit for about 10 minutes or so, just to let it dry a little bit. Wipe it down one more time. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to lube it up. I use the Maxima chain guard. Since we cleaned it, we're gonna lube it up good, then wipe it back down again. And I'll probably lube it again once it's on the bike if it looks like it needs it. I'm gonna wipe off the excess. All right, so this comes at 144 length from Vortex, which should be the right length for the sprockets that I'm going to be running. So now let's go test fit it on the bike. All right, before we put it on the bike, you might be asking why do a 415 chain conversion, and it's all about reducing rotating mass. So I've got the old set. This is actually a Ninja 400 front and rear stock sprocket. I'm going to be using the same link chain and sprockets on it as the R3. So because I don't have factory sprockets off of R3, and the 520 chain that came off the R3. So let's weigh those. Zero it out. 5 pounds, 7.2 ounces. And then this is a 415 Vortex sprocket, EK chain, link, front sprocket, drive sprocket. And it comes in at 2 pounds, right at 3 pounds even. So you can see there's a significant difference in weight that we're saving in that rotating mass. So. All right, time to start going back together. Now this would be a good time with all of this apart to go ahead and clean up all the stuff that came off the chain over since the last time you serviced it. This is a freshly built motor, super stock motor for this year, so it's already clean. So we're gonna put the sprocket on, drive sprocket, maybe. Here we go. The washer and the nut. Now I can't can't torque these down right now because I need the rear tire on. So we'll put this on here just hand tight, and then we will go put the rear tire and the chain on. All right, spacer. Now, since this is a whole different setup, I'm assuming I'm going to have to adjust the tension, but let's go ahead and get the chain put on. And as expected, it's pretty long. One thing I don't like about this chain set from Vortex is that they do not make a rivet master for this chain. So you have to use a clip style. I'd rather it be a rivet, but since they don't make one for it, that's what I'll have to run. And so to be more prepared, I will put the clip on, safety wire, and RTV it, and that should be sufficient. And the box says that the closed end of the clip needs to go with the direction of the chain, which is this way. So we're going to put that one forward. Let's slide that on. All right, that's a good clip. So I'm going to safety wire around that, and I'm going to put RTV on that link too to make sure that link can't come off. All right, so now we'll get the tools. We're going to adjust this wheel back. It's almost all the way forward anyway, so it looks like there's plenty of adjustment. All right. So now what I do, I don't have one of those chain guide, alignment guides like Motion Pro makes. What I do is I watch how the teeth engage the chain and look to see that they're right in the middle, which that actually is pretty close. So there's not much adjustment left here. I'm going to guess that I'm going to end up having to take it down to a 142 length. This is one of the bigger rear sprockets, so if I have to go down in size, I don't think we may not have enough adjustment, but I can do that at the track. I have the tools, so if I have to, I'll just bust it down to 142 link chain at the track. That might be a little tight, but let's get the axle tightened down and see how she acts. Definitely too. All right, reduction, that's 41 foot-pounds. Yes, I want it a little bit looser than that, and it looks like when I tightened it down, it pulled a little bit. So we need to do a little bit of adjustments. So I'll work on that. I'll get it all adjusted, and then we'll come back and we'll tighten up that front sprocket. All right, so I got the chain adjusted. I got it all even side to side, so it's running straight. So now we're going to torque the front. The drive sprocket is 54 foot-pounds. All right. Hold the brake. All right. Now all I've got left is I need to safety wire this nut to the sprocket so it can't come loose. And the conversion is done. I need to wash the bike and get it cleaned up, so I'll probably clean the chain again and go ahead and lube it again. I can still see some of that white grease that's in there. So other than that, I think everything went well, and that was a pretty easy conversion. All right, we finished the 415 chain conversion. As you saw in the video, we dropped just about 2.5 pounds off the rotating mass of the chain sprocket. That's like a 45% reduction in weight just in that area. So, I mean, overall, it's not big, but when you do a whole bunch of little things, it adds up. So, again, I want to thank Vortex for helping me out in the 2024 race season. So that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching.